Welcome to Calcutta Races Winter Meeting, first day, Tuesday, 1st January 2019 race preview. The first race will be the retained asset handicap to be run over a distance of 1100 meters. Number 1 is Stallone. Stallone's had one start this season in race number 50 over 1100 meters, and what an impressive win that was for Stallone. Came up with a late dash on the inner rail and went on to win that race was Stallone, and won that race by 1 3/4 lengths, this time being ridden out by Suraj Daredu is Stallone. Number 2 will be Coup de Gras. Coup de Gras has had two starts this season, last one being in race number 41 over 1200 meters, where Coup de Gras was chasing the leader, but eventually went on to win that race and overtook the leader, that was White Walker, and Coup de Gras won that race by 2 1/4 lengths. Number 3 will be Lady 2. Lady 2's last outing was this season in race number 52 over 1100 meters, where Lady 2, after much efforts, finished on 8th, and the winner of that race was He Calls the Shots. Also in the same race we had number 6 Bang Bang, who finished on 10th. Number 4 will be White Walker. White Walker's last outing was in race number 51 over 1100 meters, where White Walker made it at a start to finish essay and went on to win that race by 3 1/2 lengths by beating Gimme Credit. Number 5 will be The Kiss. The Kiss has had two starts this season, won its first outing over 1100 meters and then went on to finish on 9th in its last outing, which was in the 1000 guineas in race number 29 over 1600 meters, and the winner of that race was Adjudicate. We move on to the second race, which is the Caliber Handicap, to be run over a distance of 1400 meters. Number 1 will be Artist Royale. Artist Royale's last outing was this season in race number 58 over 1400 meters, where Artist Royale finished on 8th. And also in the same race we had number 3 Super Chic, who finished on 9th. Winner of that race was Pelion, who won it start to finish. Number 2 will be Singapore Sling. Singapore Sling's had one start this season in race number 31 over 1400 meters, where Singapore Sling finished right at the back end of the field to finish on 11th after much efforts, and the winner of that race was Pelion. Also in the same race we had number 7 Madame Ricamia, who finished on 13th. Very wide of the track was Madame Ricamia, but as I mentioned, Pelion was the winner. Number 4 will be Archivolt. Archivolt finished 7th in its last outing in race number 1, and I beg your pardon, race number 17 over 1200 meters, and the winner of that race was Viaraggio, who came up with a late run on the outside and went on to win that race by about a length and a half. Number 5 will be Hovering. Hovering's had one start this season in race number 22 over 1400 meters, and quite an eye-catcher it was, where Hovering was amongst the front runners. I was chasing the leader, but eventually finished on 4th was Hovering, and the winner of that race was Smith & Wesson. Number 6 will be Star Phoenix. Star Phoenix was knocking on the door for a long time. Last outing in race number 65 over 1600 meters, just came out and went on to win that race by about 2 3/4 lengths was Star Phoenix, and Adriatic Sea finished second in that race, but Star Phoenix was an impressive winner last time out. Number 8 will be Moves Like Jagger. Moves Like Jagger's last outing was in race number 48 over 1100 meters, where Moves Like Jagger finished very wide to finish on 8th. Also in the same race we had number 12 Dark Angel, who finished on 7th. Number 13 was Mustang, who finished on 2nd, and number 14 True Story, who finished on 8th, and the winner of that race was Fireberg. Number 9 will be Constance. Constance last outing was in race number 47 over 1200 meters, where Constance finished on 11th. And also in the same race we had number 10, Zaina, who finished on 2nd, came up at a late dash but couldn't meet strides with the winner. That was the 6 Seal. Number 11 will be Deansdale. Deansdale's had one start this season in race number 23 over 1100 meters. Deansdale was amongst the mid-punch in the final stages of the race, and there was no progress by Deansdale. Finished on 5th. Winner of that race was me and myself. We move on to the third race, which is the Steal the Glory handicap, to be run over a distance of 1400 meters. Number 1 will be Zephyr. Zephyr's last outing was in race number 42 this season over 1600 meters, where Zephyr finished on right at the back end of the field to finish on 11th. And the winner of that race was Sierrel, who got the rail and won that race by about a short head. Number 2 will be Airlift. Airlift's last outing was in race number 51 over 1100 meters, and Airlift turned into the home straight, travelling very wide, and finished the race very wide of the track. Finishing on 5th was Airlift, and the winner of that race was White Rocker, who got that start to finish. Number 3 will be Stelvio Pass. Stelvio Pass has had 2 starts this season and run on board both his starts, where Stelvio Pass his last outing in race number 22 over 1400 meters, where Stelvio Pass finished on 3rd, and the winner of that race was Smith & Wesson. Also in the same race we had number 11, Altovito, who finished on 14th. Number 4 will be Exclusive Power. Exclusive Power's had one start this season in race number 40 over 1200 meters, where Exclusive Power finished on 13th. Also in the same race we had number 7, Savo, who finished on 11th. The winner of that race was Tomorrow Forever, who got the rail side and went on to win that race in a close finish by winning it by long neck. Number 5 will be Jorel. Jorel's had 2 starts this season, run off the board in both its starts. Last outing in race number 10 over 1100 meters, where Jorel finished on 11th. Winner of that race was The Kiss, who went on to win that race very impressively by about 7 lengths. Number 8 will be Wonder Boy. Wonder Boy's last outing was in race number 56 over 1400 meters, where Wonder Boy, after match efforts, finished on 7th. And the winner of that race was Palian, who went on to win that race by about 3 1/4 lengths. And also in the same race we had number 6, Fight of Honor, who finished on 4th. Number 9 will be Modification. Modification's last outing was in race number 17 over 1200 meters, where Modification, after getting a lot of reminders in the final stage of the race, finished on 10th. Winner of that race was Vieraggio. Number 10 will be Speed Force. Speed Force has had one start this season in race number 16 over 1200 meters, where Speed Force led all the way, and just in the final stages of about 100 meters away from home was overtaken, and Oak Brook went on to win that race by about 5 1/2 lengths, and Speed Force finished on 2nd. Number 12 will be Glorious Run. Glorious Run's had one start this season in race number 41 over 1200 meters, where Glorious Run finished on 7th, and the winner of that race was Coup de Gras, who went on to win that race by about 2 1/4 lengths. Number 13 will be Mrs. Willy-Nilly. run on board in its first outing, and last outing being in race number 47 after to be run, which was run over a distance of 1200 meters. Mrs. Willy-nilly finished on 4th, and the winner of that race was the 6 Seal. Number 14 will be Indus Prince. Indus Prince last outing being in race number 65 over 1600 meters, where Indus Prince finished on 7th, and winner of that race was Star Phoenix. Indus Prince did lead the way, but eventually overtaken and faded back was Indus Prince and finished on 7th. The winner of that race was Star Phoenix. We move on to the 4th race, which is the Ardiles Handicap, to be run over a distance of 1400 meters. Number 1 will be Dixie Diamond. Dixie Diamond's had 2 starts this season, run off the board both its outings. Last outing being in race number 43 over 2000 meters, where there was no progress at all, and Dixie Diamond finished on 9th. And the winner of that race was Aldero, who got it by a head. Number 2 will be Farsight. Farsight's last outing was in race number 59 over 1400 meters, where Farsight, after some vigorous riding, finished on 6th was Farsight, and the winner of that race was Simon Templar, who absolutely blew the field away that day and went on to win that race by about 3 1/4 lengths. Number 3 will be Jester. Jester's last outing in race number 54 turned into the home straight very wide and finished the race very wide on the track was Jester, finished on 8th. The winner of that race was Saberjet. Number 4 will be El Cid. El Cid's last outing was in race number 26 over 1200 meters, where El Cid finished on 10th. Also in the same race we had number 7 Coconut, who finished on 5th, and number 13 Alien, who finished on 7th. And the winner of that race was Lumos, who won that race by about a neck. Number 5 will be Mellow Fellow. Mellow Fellow's last outing was in race number 9. Just 1 start over 1200 meters. Mellow Fellow was travelling quite wide, but eventually finished on 5th after some vigorous riding and getting a couple of reminders. And the winner of that race was Simon Templar. Number 6 will be Cup of the Cuppy. Quite a night catcher. The last run was it was for Cap of the Cuppy, where it came on with a late dash on the rail side was Cap of the Cuppy, and finished on board to finish on 3rd. And the winner of that race was Novikov, who was just too good that day, won it by 5 lengths. Will be Summerhill. Summerhill's last outing was in race number 42 over 1600 meters, where Summerhill finished on 5th. Winner of that race was Surel. Summerhill was also running in race number 58 over 1400 meters, but dropped the rider was Summerhill, and the winner of that race was Oakbrook. Number 9 will be Running Hand. Running Hand's last outing was in race number 58 over 1400 meters, and Running Hand finished on 4th. Also in the same race we had number 10 Prince of Art, who finished on 8th, and the winner of that race was Oakbrook, who won that race by about 2 lengths. Number 11 will be Bojangles. Bojangles' last outing in race number 27 this season over 1200 meters, where Bojangles, after vigorous riding and a few reminders, finished on 3rd. Winner of that race is Born to Win, who got that race by about a long neck. Number 12 will be Uncrowned King. Uncrowned King's last outing was in race number 56 over 1400 meters, where Uncrowned King finished 2nd, just 3 1/4 lengths behind the winner, who was Pelion.
We move on to the fifth race of the afternoon, the 91.9 Friends FM Cup over 1200 meters. First up, we are looking at number 1 Romanov in race number 34. Romanov made this a start to finish affair, led the field and held on readily. In the other runner we are looking at is Ladian Red. Ladian Red was 9th as the horses turned for home, did not make any progress. Winner here was Romanov, and Romanov won that race by about 1 1/4 length. Next up, we are looking at 3 runners here. Number 3, Glorious Leaps in race number 50. Glorious Leap was 12th as the horses turned for home, dropped back and finished 13th. In the same race, we had number 11, Midnight Magic. Midnight Magic was 9th and dropped back even further and finished on 12th. In the same race, we had number 12, City Heights. City Heights was 7th as the horses turned for home but finished on 9th. Stallone was the winner of this race. Next up, we are looking at race number 40, where number 4 Moira was 7th as the horses turned for home, weakened to finish 8th. In the same race, we had number 7 Optimum. Optimum was in 5th spot as the horses turned for home, did not make any progress, finished on 5th. In the same race, we had number 9 Bonville, who was 2nd as the horses turned for home. However, the other horses came up with a flourish at the end and Bonville had to settle for 4th spot. Next up, we are looking at number 5, Give Me Credit, in race number 51, where Give Me Credit was 2nd as the horses turned for home. White Walker suddenly burst onto the scene and really blew the field away, and Give Me Credit stayed on in 2nd. And in the same race, we had Royal Muse, who finished 3rd, and as the horses turned for home was 7th, made some late progress. Next up, we are looking at number 8, Fireberg. Fireberg led this field as the horses turned for home and held on readily, even though challenged by Mustang. Fireberg won that race by about 1 1/4 length. Next, we are looking at number 10, the 6th Seal in race number 47, where 6th Seal made it a start to finish affair and was leading the field all the way, and didn't really get challenged much by Zena, who came up with a late bit but still was about 1 1/4 lengths short. And in the same race, we had number 14, Rolly Polly. Rolly Polly was 10th as the horses turned for home and finished on 9th. Next up, we are looking at number 13, Hurricane Storm. Hurricane Storm was 4th as the horses turned for home, made steady progress, raced down the center and took charge at the distant post and held on readily. Earlier, Hurricane Storm was very unlucky to finish on 3rd, and there was a lot of jostling in that race, but here Hurricane Storm in race number 49 won that race very convincingly. We move on to the 6th race of the afternoon, the T2 Cup. Over 1200 meters. Number 1 Bacardi in race number 51 was 3rd as the horses turned for home, however weakened to finish on 11th. In the same race, we had number 3 I Me and Myself, who finished 13th of 13 runners. In the same race, we had number 6 Dancing Prince, which was 10th as the horses turned for home, dropped back to finish 12th of 12 runners. In the same race, we had number 11, which was Happy Returns. Happy Returns was 9th as the horses turned for home and finished on 7th. The winner here was White Walker, who was too good for the rest of them. Next up, we are looking at Shape the Scape in race number 50, where Shape the Scape was leading the way as the horses entered the home straight. However, there was a cavalry charge on the outside and Shape the Scape weakened to finish on 7th. In the same race, we had number 7 Respect, who raced towards the end of the field as the horses turned for home and did not make any progress, and the winner here was Stallone. Next up, we are looking at number 4, Via Raggio. Via Raggio was 9th as the horses turned for home, made very late progress on the wide outside and won the race on the distance post, and this finished on 2nd was Chitrakala, and Via Raggio was a very impressive winner today, about a length and a half from Chitrakala. Number 5 is Dakshish. Dakshish was 8th as the horses turned for home and weakened to finish on 9th. The winner here was Kudagra, and Dakshish was earlier a winner in the monsoon track over 1200 meters in race number 136. However, Dakshish didn't have much to show in race number 41, the one we are looking at today. Next we are looking at number 8, San Remo in race number 46. And San Remo in the monsoon season was racing in 5th spot as the horses turned for home. However, didn't make any progress. Finished on 9th of 11 runners. The winner here was Luminac. And San Remo earlier finished on 3rd in the earlier winter track. Next we are looking at number 10, Kaiden in race number 1. Kaiden was 8th as the horses turned for home, but made some steady progress towards the rail and just fell short by about 2 lengths. But Kaiden is definitely the one to watch out for. Next up we are looking at number 12, Looking Good. Looking Good in race number 10 was in 8th spot as the horses turned for home, made some steady progress, and as they entered the last 100 meters, Looking Good was in 3rd spot and stayed on over there. The winner, The Kiss, was far too good on this day. Number 13 is Jezebel. Jezebel was 8th as the horses turned for home. Weakened to finish on the mid-punch as the horses entered the last 200 meters. The winner, Palian, was far too good on that day, and Jezebel will be running 200 meters less today. Lastly, we are looking at number 14, Beat the Bank. Beat the Bank was 9th as the horses turned for home. Made some progress towards the outside, and Beat the Bank finished on 2nd. The winner here was The Last Judgment, and this was the only start for Beat the Bank. Move on to the 7th race of the afternoon, the 42 Indian produced stakes, to be run over a distance of 1200 meters for 3-year-old only. The first runner we are looking at is number 1, Adhirit. Adhirit in race number 67 was leading the way all the way. Had a breather as the horses turned for home, however kicked on as they entered the home straight and won in taking style, beating the field by about 6 lengths. Next up we are looking at race number 44, where we had 5 runners taking part. Firstly we look at number 2, Valorous Thal, who was 3rd as the horses turned for home, made steady progress, won that race by about 4 lengths. Then we had number 4, Avellino. Avellino was 4th as the horses turned for home, made some progress, however finished on 2nd. In the same race we had number 5, Eastern Crown. Eastern Crown was 10th as the horses turned for home, finished on 7th. In the same race we had number 6, Jayavant, who was 9th, made late progress, finished on 3rd. And lastly we had number 9, Tia Queen, who didn't make much of an impression, finished on 6th of 10 runners.
We move on to the 8th race, which is the Eveready RCTC Gold Wars, to be run over a distance at 2,200 meters. Number 1 will be Hotnil. Hotnil's last outing was in race number 55 over 2,000 meters, where Hotnil finished on 9th. Also in the same race, we had number 2, Multi Glory, who sprung a surprise and went on to win that race very impressively by 5 lengths. Also in the same race, we had number 3, Ophion, who finished on 8th. Also number 4, Commander, who finished on 3rd after much efforts. And then we had number 5, Germanicus, who finished on 6th, and number 6, Commodore, who finished on 4th. But the eventual winner was Multi Glory. Number 7 will be Eternally. Eternaly's last outing was in race number 37, just 1 start this season in race number 37 over 1600 meters, and Eternally caught the rail, but eventually finished on 3rd was Eternally after much efforts. Winner of that race was Commander. Number 8 will be Midnight Phantom. Midnight Phantom is the one that you need to watch out for. Last outing being in race number 43 over 2,000 meters, where Midnight Phantom led the way and eventually finished on 2nd, just ahead behind the winner, that was Aldero. We move on to the 9th and last race, which is the approved handicap, to be run over a distance of 1100 meters. Number 1 will be Fortune Express. Fortune Express in last outing in race number 70 over 1200 meters was not impressive at all, as Fortune Express finished on 8th. Winner of that race was Denny Crane. Number 2 will be Shivesh. Shivesh's last outing was quite impressive in race number 59 over 1400 meters, as Shivesh finished on 2nd. Also in the same race we had number 5 Kramer, who finished on 5th, and number 8 Flanker, who finished on 7th, and the eventual winner of that race was Simon Templar. Number 3 will be Poet. Poet's last outing was in race number 60 over 1400 meters, where Poet finished on 12th, right at the back end of the field. Also in the same race we had number 6 Rule Down Under, who finished on 8th, and number 10, that was Arakawa, who finished on 11th. Eventual winner of that race was Splash Proof, who went on to win that race by about 5 lengths. Number 4 will be Ascension. Ascension's last outing, just one start in race number 11 this season over 1100 meters, was quite impressive. Was leading the field, but eventually was overtaken on the outside, and the winner of that race was Nobu, and Ascension finished on 2nd, just 1 1/4 lengths behind the winner. Number 9 will be Stunner. Stunner's had one win this season, and its last outing finished on 2nd. In form is Stunner. And the winner of that race was Akshaya, who came up with a late run and went on to win that race. Also in the same race we had number 11, Joss, who finished on 8th. Number 12 will be Big Star. Big Star's last outing was in race number 38 this season over 1200 meters, where Big Star travelled very wide of the track and finished on 4th. And the winner of that race was Multiple, who got that race by about half a length. Number 13 will be He Calls the Shots. He Calls the Shots just had one start this season, and it was really impressive. Was in race number 52 over 1100 meters, where He Calls the Shots got an opening at the right time in the final stage of the race and went on to win that race by about half a length. Number 14 will be Lumos. Lumos's last outing was in race number 25 over 1200 meters, where Lumos led the way and went on to win that race by about a neck, and Tibidabo finished on 2nd in the same race. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time, and wish you all a very, very happy new year.